Everyone dreams of the Amalfi Coast. The cliffs, the turquoise water, the little villages stacked above the sea, the restaurants overlooking the Mediterranean. And then you look at the price. A room with a view can cost hundreds of euros a night in summer. A simple lunch can suddenly feel like a luxury purchase. And the beaches you've seen all over Instagram can be so crowded that you're spending half your day looking for somewhere to put your towel. But what if you could get the cliffs, the turquoise water, the mountain roads, the tiny coastal villages, and that Mediterranean feeling, without paying Amalfi prices? I came to Albania's Riviera to find out. And after traveling this stretch of coastline, I think most people are looking in the wrong direction. Because the first mistake almost everyone makes is going straight to Ksamil. And I'll explain why later. The Albanian Riviera runs along the country's southern Ionian coast, between Vlorë and Sarand. And the first time you see it from above, it doesn't look like the budget alternative to anything. It looks expensive. Huge mountains drop directly into an unbelievably blue sea. White pebble beaches sit underneath cliffs. Old stone villages cling to hillsides. And the road itself winds along the coast with views that make you want to stop every 5 minutes. This is the SH8 coastal road. And honestly, the drive is part of the experience. You climb through the mountains around Lagara, and then suddenly the Ionian Sea appears below you. That's the moment I understood why people are starting to talk about this place. But here's the important part. Albania isn't some untouched secret anymore. The secret is starting to get out. And if you come here expecting the Albania of 10 years ago, you might be surprised. Some parts of the Riviera are already busy. Some beaches are packed in July and August. And some of the most famous places aren't nearly as cheap as Instagram makes them look. Which brings me to the first place I wanted to investigate, Ksamil. Ksamil is probably the most famous beach destination in Albania. And I understand why. The water is ridiculously clear. There are little islands just offshore. The beaches look almost Caribbean in some photos. And if you search for Albania on social media, there's a very good chance this is what you'll see first. But here's the problem. Everybody else has seen those photos too. In peak summer, Ksamil can be crowded, commercial, and surprisingly expensive. So instead of asking, is Ksamil beautiful? I asked a different question. Is it actually good value? And that's where things get interesting. Because Albania's best value isn't necessarily where the Instagram algorithm sends you. It's further north, in a town called Himare. Himare doesn't have the same international fame as Ksamil. And that's exactly why I liked it. It's an actual working coastal town. There's a harbor, restaurants, a promenade, an old town on the hill, and, most importantly, a ridiculous number of beaches within easy reach. Current 2026 estimates put mid-range accommodation in Himare around euros 65 to euros 100 per night in peak July and August, with cheaper options available outside peak season. That's not free, but compare that with what you're likely to encounter on Europe's most famous Mediterranean coast, and the difference becomes pretty obvious. And here's the thing. You don't have to sacrifice the scenery. Just outside Himare are beaches like Levadhi, Jail, Porto Palermo, and Gjipe. And Gjipe was the one I kept hearing about. So I went. Gjipe is one of those places where getting there is part of the experience. You can reach it by boat, or you can hike down through the canyon. I chose the harder option, because from the top, you can't really see what you're walking toward. You just follow the trail down between the cliffs, and then the canyon opens. And there it is, a strip of beach sitting between enormous rock walls and bright blue water. No giant resort, no enormous city behind it. Just the canyon, the sea, and a handful of people who made the effort to get there. And this is where the comparison with the Amalfi Coast gets interesting. The point isn't that Albania is literally the same place as Amalfi. It isn't. The architecture is different. The history is different. The food culture is different. But the experience you're chasing is surprisingly similar. You're looking for dramatic coastline, beautiful water, mountain roads, small villages, seafood, sunsets, and that feeling that you've escaped the ordinary. Albania gives you all of that. The difference is what happens when the bill arrives. And food is where Albania really starts to make sense for a budget traveler. Along the Riviera, you can eat seafood, grilled meat, salads, fresh bread, and local dishes without automatically turning dinner into a major expense. But there's another rule I learned here. Don't eat directly on the most obvious tourist strip every night. Walk 10 minutes inland. Find the restaurant where locals are sitting. That small change can make a bigger difference than obsessing over finding the cheapest hotel. In Himare, local fish restaurants away from the main promenade can offer grilled fish for roughly euros 8 to euros 14 per portion, according to current local travel guides. And that matters because this isn't supposed to be a backpacking challenge. The whole point of broke but traveling is being able to travel well. I don't want to survive on instant noodles just to say I visited somewhere cheaply. I want the nice meal, the good view, the boat trip, the comfortable room, just without paying a premium because everyone else wants the same postcard. And that's why I think the Albanian Riviera works. You can spend money here. You just don't have to. Want a beach club? They are here. Want a boutique hotel? They are here. Want a boat trip along the coast? You can do that too. But if you're traveling on a budget, you can also stay in a guest house, eat locally, walk to the beach, and spend very little. Current 2026 accommodation estimates across the Riviera put budget guest houses around euros 25, euros 45 per night during July and August, with mid-range hotels commonly around euros 60, euros 100. And that's the distinction I think people miss. Cheap doesn't have to mean worse. Sometimes it just means you're not paying for the brand name. But there's one thing you need to know before you book. And this could completely change where you stay. Don't automatically base yourself in Ksamil. If your goal is beaches, variety, and value, Himare may be the smarter base. From there, you've got access to multiple beaches and day trips without constantly packing your bags and moving hotels. Gjipe, Levadhi, Jail. Porto Palermo, Kiparo, Borsh. And if you want something quieter, you can keep heading south. The Riviera stretches for roughly 120 kilometers along this section of coast, with dozens of beaches and coves along the route. That's what makes it different from a single famous resort town. You're not traveling to one beach. You're traveling through an entire coastline. And then there's Borsh. This is the kind of place that made me question why some destinations become famous, while others barely get mentioned. Borsh has a long stretch of coastline backed by olive-covered hills. It's less polished than some of the resort areas. And that's precisely the appeal. You can look around and still feel like you're seeing a place rather than a product. That's something I increasingly value when I travel. Because Europe has become very good at turning beautiful places into attractions. You get the same viewpoint, the same restaurant, the same photo, the same crowd, and eventually you're not really traveling anymore. You're just standing in line for a picture. So let's talk about the actual budget. Because this is where the whole argument either works or falls apart. If you're traveling as a couple and choose a sensible mid-range room, eat mostly local food, use buses where practical, and add a few paid experiences, you can keep the daily cost dramatically below the kind of budget you'd need for a premium Mediterranean destination. In Himare, current estimates put a careful couple's daily spend around euros 100, euros 150 during peak season, including accommodation, meals, and one activity. And you can spend less outside July and August. That's important, because the biggest mistake isn't necessarily choosing the wrong country. It's choosing the wrong month. June and September can give you warm water, open businesses, and considerably fewer crowds than the peak summer period. So if you're looking for the best combination of price, weather, and atmosphere, I'd seriously consider those months. But is Albania actually better than the Amalfi Coast? No. And that's not the point. The Amalfi Coast is incredible. If you have the budget and you've always dreamed of staying in Positano, do it. Travel isn't a competition. The point is that you don't have to spend Amalfi money to have an incredible Mediterranean holiday. And if you're the kind of traveler who looks at a Euros 400 hotel and thinks, there's got to be another option, there is. That's what I came here to find. After several days on the Riviera, I think the biggest surprise wasn't the beaches. It wasn't the prices. It wasn't even the mountains. It was how much variety you can fit into one trip. You can spend the morning hiking through a canyon to Gjipe, have lunch by the sea, drive through the mountains, stop at an old stone village, swim in a tiny hidden cove, and finish the day watching the sun disappear over the Ionian, all without needing a luxury budget. That's what makes Albania interesting. It's not trying to be Amalfi. It's becoming something of its own. And honestly, I think that's better. So here's my verdict. If your dream Mediterranean trip is luxury hotels, designer boutiques, and famous Instagram viewpoints, go to Amalfi. But if your dream is turquoise water, dramatic mountains, seafood, beautiful villages, road trips, and beaches, and you'd rather spend your money actually experiencing the place instead of paying for its reputation, I'd choose the Albanian Riviera. And I'd stay in Himare, because the best travel alternative isn't always the place that looks most similar on Instagram. It's the place that gives you more of what you actually came for. And that is exactly what broke but traveling is about. So let me ask you, ***, would you spend Euros 400 a night for the Amalfi Coast? Or take that same money and spend several days exploring Albania? ***, tell me which one you're choosing. And if you want more European destinations where you can get the experience without the ridiculous price tag, subscribe to Broke But Traveling. Because there's a lot more of Europe we're going to find.